Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Pringleton Model Railway. Whether you're here for the first time or returning, thank you for stopping by. Your support is wonderful. We've made it to the end of another season, and as promised, it's time to unveil the contents of the package we bought earlier. And look who's here to help us. His mind is like a Welsh railway, one track and dirty. It's Jack Wright, everyone.
Well, hello Daryl, and hello everyone.
Wonderful to have you back, Jack.
Wonderful to be here for the unboxing.
Absolutely. So sit back, pour yourself a drink and enjoy. Welcome once again to the Pringleton Model Railway. Okay, so we are straight in here and it is time for the one and only Jack Wright to start unpacking the box. So what have we got in there, Jack? Oh,
look at this.
Tremendous. Yes, for whoever guessed the HST was right. Probably quite predictable. Keep it going, Jack.
Another HST.
Well, yes, a power car and a dummy car. Yes, yes. Beautiful. Mark IV coach, I do believe. Naturally in the Virgin Trains livery.
And is there anything else in here?
I hope so, otherwise I've been stiffed on eBay.
One more.
One more. Now what a lovely set that's going to make. Yes, indeed, the Virgin Trains HST, power car, dummy car, and 2 coaches.
Welcome to Pringleton.
Welcome to Pringleton indeed. So, let's get these fellas apart and start doing our upgrades and work on them. The motorized end and the non-motorized end, here they are, so let's have a look. Now, my plan for this is the usual, so a DCC conversion is required, and on the motorized end, plenty of room here, so I'm going to whack my DCC socket just somewhere into there. It's a nice space for all that. Replace this bit of tape on the weight with the modeller's friend, the black tape. The intention with all these things is usually to replace the older ring-filled motors with the CD-ROM motor. And if you remember back to the episode with the Class 91, which this is replacing, possibly even further back with the Crompton, yep, they were both old motors replaced with replaced with CD-ROM motors. But I haven't really run this yet. I've tested it with DCC and it runs quite smoothly, and I think this is one of the newer I think the term is 5-pole ring-filled motors, so this may well run very nicely. So I'm not going to immediately go for that. I can easily replace that afterwards if need be. So possible motor conversion, possible. Definitely DCC socket in there for the DCC decoder. And then we need to do something around this lighting here, so that lights up white in the direction of travel. That's not sure how that's going to work with DCC, of course, so I would like to do something which replaces that with white in one direction and red in the other direction. I've got some thoughts on that, but I think it's fair to say they're going to evolve as we go. The non-motorized end, the trailer, that's got pickups here, the same space, and obviously it's got the light as well, and I'm not really sure how that's going to work with DCC. I'm guessing it's not. So I have another one of those to put in here, and obviously I've got no motor at this end. I don't need a motor at this end, but I would love it if we get directional lighting based on the direction of travel. So that's going to need a separate decoder at this end with the same, let me see if I got this right, the same ID as the one that's in the motor end, which I've got a couple of old ones which I think will be fine for that, just to power the light. That's going to be the finale of this bit, and as I say, I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out. The carriages are looking lovely, the coaches, and all I'm going to do with them is just add a couple of missing buffers and put in the same lighting kit as we saw on those Southern Railway coaches a couple of episodes ago, and I think that will just look super duper. Okay, so some preparation work has been done. The cables cut from the pickups to the motor, that bit of dodgy old tape replaced with some black tack there. Ends of the cables prepared. The DCC socket in place there, held down naturally with a bit of black tack. And the other thing I didn't say I was probably going to do, in fact I'm certain I'm going to do, is introduce a stay alive into this when it's done, but that just gets wired straight into the decoder, so that's fine. You know I love stay alives if you've watched any of the previous bits of Pringleton. So now we are going to utilize, I kind of know what I'm doing, but every time I use my old reference here, the Pico DCC installation guide with this masterful diagram here. So it's going to be orange and black from the pickups here, wired to the relevant pads, which are brilliantly labelled on the socket there, and then the ones to the motor become the orange and grey wires. So I will do that soldering now. Not a masterclass of soldering, but the 4 key connections are made. I think I'm going to disconnect this lighting apparatus for the moment, because I'm not quite sure what the impact of just hooking that straight up to a DCC circuit is going to do. Okay, now progress has been made, as you can see by the increasing amount of paraphernalia I've got out here. It's just like absolute chaos. So socket in place, all wiring done. I had to extend the cables for the motor connection here. That is only temporary. I want to make sure I get the forward and reverse the right way round. So I've got a temporary decoder in here as well, an old Hatton's one. Well, I say temporary, but a couple of very interesting developments. So first thing, when I hooked it up to the test track for the decoder, absolutely no joy going on. So I had to recheck all the connections. Everything was fine, and then I discovered over here some extra wires from this bogie onto the motor as well, and it transpired, much to my surprise, that this was all-wheel pickup. I suppose I should have checked this first, but I kind of assumed due to its age it didn't have, and that's confirmed by pickups here, we can't see that, here and here as well. So that was a very positive development, and what I can do now is wire those in to the red and black feeds to the decoder as well. So that's great news. What was less positive is when I put it onto the track to give it a test run, it was sort of just juddering along like a complete fool. Basically, the wheels were filthy, and these ones I've now cleaned up with the very finest grade of wet and dry paper here, whereas these ones haven't been cleaned up. These ones are traction tyres as well. So I need to clean all of these up, and then I will give it a proper test run. But the beauty of all of this means I probably won't need a stay alive, and hopefully the newness of that means that the motor's pretty good as well. So I'm going to give all of that a bit of a lubrication and clean up as well. So let's get all of that done and then do a little bit of a test run. Okay, so a little bit of time has passed. The job is looking good. So we have wired in the extra pickups from this end all the way through. And what I've done actually, so these points here were where the extra connections for the like the 12-volt bulb were, and obviously I won't be using that because I'm going to do a connection straight onto the decoder pad for that, so it's directional. Now I'm going to say a little bit of running time, and I'll tell you what, this is super smooth. This must be one of the most recent ring-filled motors, because this crawls really nicely actually. Loads of wheel cleaning required, a bit of lubrication on the axles and a bit of silicone grease around the ring-filled motor. Look at this bad boy. Let's watch it do a little bit of slow speed work as well. Look at that. Not too shabby at all. So I don't think a stay alive is needed, and I don't think a new CD-ROM motor is required at the moment either. Of course, I can still do that in future if I need to. So now it's just a case of sussing out the directional lighting. So these come with this 12-volt bulb at the front, which is on some sort of diode, I think, so it only fires up in the direction of travel. So you can get replacement lighting kits here, and I guess I could drill out these fittings to put white and red LEDs. I have a slightly different plan, and I'm going to attempt to simply replace this with a bicolor white and red LED, and I can just wire that straight into the decoder. So let us give that a go. It could be a disaster. Equally, it could be a triumph. So here we have the bicolor LED up the front, and I've pulled the wires round. That is a real messy there, isn't it? But that can be tidied up momentarily. The wires... now, of course, there was a wire here already through, so there's a couple of little handy spots to pull the cables through, and I've used a bit of black tack there to hold them into place. Under all this business here, you can see the resistor on the function common, and they have all been wired in. So again, my trusty white is forward light, yellow is actually red here from the bicolor LED, yellow on the pad there, and then blue, the function common. Okay, so we are on the actual track here. The decoder is back in position here. Everything is looking okay. We are set up on E-Link, and the function is already set up here. So with some trepidation, I'm going to fire up the lights. Hoo-yah! Hoo-yah! There we have it. Forward mode, white. And if all goes according to plan, if I now change this to reverse, haha, double hoo-yah! We're in red, so that would be the back end, and we would be in business. So now look, I can see just a tiny thing. I can see there's obviously a bit of light bleed coming through here, which is no surprise. So what I'll do is I just paint a bit of black underneath there. But super duper, super satisfying. And now onto a sort of mini version of that for the dummy unpowered car. So we are all looking good here. The set is currently set in reverse, so the motor car is showing red and the dummy car is showing white. If I change Railmaster to set forwards, the motor car is showing white, because that will be going forwards, and the dummy car is showing red. So all that remains to do now is, as I mentioned, a bit of work on here to stop the light bleeding up into the cab, both ends, tidy everything up, and then we'll be ready. And whilst we're doing all that, it's over to Jack for a bit of history on the HST, and indeed on the maiden Voyager.
Great, thanks Darryl. So 43063 is of course one of the legendary British Rail Class 43 HSTs, high-speed trains. Built between 1975 and 1982 and in service in the UK since 1976, these wonderful locos are amongst the fastest diesels in the world, with a maximum speed of over 148 miles per hour and a regular service speed of 125 miles per hour. That's why they were known as Intercity 125s. As part of the privatisation of British Rail, Virgin Cross Country was a train operating company operating the intercity cross-country franchise from January 1997 until November 2007. This included some of the longest direct rail services in the UK. And so it was that on January the 6th, 1997, 43063 Maiden Voyager, sporting the distinctive Virgin Trains red livery, started the first Edinburgh-Penzance train. Voyager was quite a predictable name for one of Richard Branson's trains. Maiden Voyager was the name of the Boeing 747 which launched Virgin Atlantic back in 1984, and it would also go on to be the name of Virgin Trains New Class 220 Voyager when it took part in a pre-service trial run in December 2000. After its time with Virgin Trains, 43063 continued in service with subsequent franchise owners. And that brings us up to the present day. The Plym Valley Railway, a heritage railway in Devon, was gifted 43063 from GWR in 2024 for preservation after it was withdrawn from service. The locomotive is undergoing cosmetic restoration right now with the aim of putting it on display so that visitors can see it in its glory and even climb into the cab. A truly fitting tribute to a remarkable loco after over 40 years of exemplary service.
And now it's time to see this beauty in action in our musical showcase. So there we have it, our Virgin Trains HST Maiden Voyager all spruced up and ready for action in Pringleton. What would you say about that, Jack?
Ah, she's a beauty, isn't she, Darryl?
She is indeed, and a lovely bit of history there on the prototype, so many thanks for that. So that about wraps it up for this episode, and indeed wraps it up for another season.
Another season.
I know, incredibly so. So if you've enjoyed this, please do like, comment and subscribe. Your support is really appreciated. Easter is coming up. We will be back after that. But until then, hope you have a great Easter, get lots of eggs and enjoy. See you on the other side, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Bye.
Take care.